that's 3 dimensions away from Lilo and Stitch being called Lilo and Stitch, the movie. I'm your host, 3D Jake, and today we're looking at Lilo and Stitch, released in 2025. Lilo and Stitch is directed by Dean Fleischer Camp and is written by Chris Kyoko Wright and Mike Van Wise. The movie is based on Lilo and Stitch, the original Disney film from 2003. The movie stars Sydney Elizabeth Ogosson, Billy Magnuson, Hannah Wyndham, Chris Sanders, Courtney B. Vance, Zach Galifianakis, and Maya Coelho. The movie is essentially about this little girl who really wants a pet. Her family has died, and her sister is struggling to raise her, and she's getting in lots of trouble and everything because she has no one in her life, because everyone's gone. And so essentially, what happened is there's an alien builds like this other alien called 626, and he escapes, and then of course gets, crashes to Earth, and then goes disguises itself as a dog, and it's up to the alien and this other alien to capture the before the intergalactic federation comes down and collects themselves, and then takes them both, and then destroys both of them. So I'm a big fan of Lilo and Stitch. I think it's a great film. I always loved Lilo and Stitch since I was a kid. It's a huge fun movie. It's a great Disney film. It's about family. Like Ohana means family. I love that about it. So when I heard they were remaking it, I'm like, oh, it's just a cash grab. And I was 100% against this movie until I saw a clip on YouTube where it was Pleakley. When I saw that they're disguised as humans rather than just like wearing drag and everything, I was like, because I'm like in the original one they were just like, okay, they just put a mustache on it, because like no, they're still aliens in disguise as disguised. So when I saw this, I was really excited, and so when I heard, oh, they're disguised as humans now, I'm like, this is actually pretty clever. All right, I'm on board. And so whenever I saw this movie, I was like, all right, and I watched the movie, and it cuts a lot out of the original movie. Like it feels like it was movie like they did not want to spend over 100 million on this movie, so they're like, all right, look, we got to make cuts. We're not going to have the other, Gantu in this movie. We're not going to have, Bubbles is going to be basically a side character. He's not going to be this main thing. But I will say they do give Bubbles more to do, as a character in this movie compared to the original. The original, he was just, oh, he's a social worker and that's it. And I'm like, he really has no purpose to be in the movie other than it's like, okay, this is a side job. Other than like in this movie, it explains why Bubbles is there. And there is some stuff that helps fill this movie out a little bit, like because this movie has 2 hours runtime, to which I'm like, you should be able to put everything in this movie since you have 2 hours. The other movie was like 83 minutes, and so I'm like, you have like enough time, so like it fleshes out Bubbles more and Pleakley and Jabba and everything, and also Lilo, why she does, like you see her getting hijinks and going and doing stuff, and then of course there are some things that kind of irk me, is like because it's like they do the whole same third act. Only difference is instead of Gantu, it's Jabba doing it, and I'm like, I understand. I think it makes more sense that like because Jabba, it make no sense for him to just be like, oh, had a change of heart. Rather in this one, it actually makes more sense for him to kidnap Lilo than Gantu, and Gantu can always come in the sequel. And also, they do acknowledge others like the spinoffs of Lilo and Stitch, like like oh 6-2 this and that, and I'm like 6-2-7 and all that stuff, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. I like the world building, and then on top of that, the visual effects do not look bad. I did not think at once the visual effects looked awful. I actually think the visual effects look just as good, if not better, than even the new Superman movie. I thought they were better, because I thought this was actually. It felt like when it was cheaper, but like it felt like it was more practical than Superman, which was more visual effects and less practical. This one I felt was more practical because it was like the whole movie was shot in Hawaii, and then only the extraterrestrial stuff, so you don't have to spend a lot. It's like if Nolan, whenever he did, like when he did Oppenheimer, the whole movie looks good, and the visual effects look good because you don't have like like when you have like 10% of visual effects in the movie compared to 90% practical. Of course, it's gonna look better because they don't have to like spend the whole movie. Okay, we have to worry about this shot. We have to worry about this shot. When Lilo and Stitch, it's like, okay, Stitch is the most thing you have to get right. Okay, and then Jabba and Pleakley are basically going to be humans, the movie, and then we're just gonna have like a couple of shots of them as aliens. So once we just do the whole alien stuff at the beginning, the whole movie is visual effects. There's no visual effects, and so I think that's really what's great about this and everything. And the movie looks really well shot and well made. I will say some of the biggest issues I had with this movie One thing is, I feel like I love Lilo. I thought the actress that played Lilo was great. I thought she was perfect in this movie. And I do like that they have like a side character that like that plays the neighbor that she's kind of cares for Lilo and Nani. So I thought that was so realistic, compared to it's just well, she's leaving Lilo alone. I'm like that's her in their cartoon. That's a bad sister move. And on top of that, I do like that that you have like the social worker, which is a woman, which usually would be a woman, and I do like that they have that. And the original voice of Nani is the social worker of the movie, so I thought that was great and everything. And Bubbles comes into the picture, and I think his backstory was great and everything. And I do like that they have scenes. They have more scenes with Jabba and Pleakley getting on the hijinks and everything. And I also like the guy who plays David. I thought he did a great job as David. And he has a connection because the neighbor is his aunt. So I thought that worked well and everything. I did not think that Lilo just getting into hijinks at the beginning, like her letting chickens out, kind of what I thought was like, oh, come on, that's like, you're kind of making her seem like she's like Dennis the Menace or something. Like she's just like a girl who's odd. And also I thought Nani at the end was, she was just basically like, oh, like I gotta go better myself at school, so bye. And I'm like, why would she would not do that? She would choose Lilo over going to school or doing that. Like, honestly, that's what kind of irked me a little bit, because I'm like, because I love the whole Lilo drowning scene. I thought that was great. Then like the aliens going to the house and her blowing up the house, I thought that this was actually much better and fit well into the story compared to her trying to the Jabba and Pleakley and them blowing up the house, and which would have made unrealistic because she'd have died in the house. So I thought this worked well, and them taking her away, that worked so well. And I thought, honestly, though, her just basically at the end of the movie, like, oh yeah, the social worker and Bubbles are going to look out, or not social worker, but the neighbor and Bubbles are going to look over Lilo, and I'm just going to go to college, bye. And I'm like, what? No, that would never happen, ever, no. you know. And on top of that, like also Jabba, like doesn't stay with them like it just Pleakley does. Pleakley stays with them, which Pleakley, like literally is just like it's like pretty much the same kind of formula for Pleakley. Jabba, I kind of didn't get used to. I like the whole Russian accent more, but instead of hearing Zach Galifianakis' voice, but I thought he did a good job as Jabba, and I thought the guy Billy Magnuson did a great job as Pleakley. I think everybody did a great job, and the actor of Nani did. The actress played Nani. She did a fantastic job. Um, and I will say though, like yeah, I said like I honestly just did not like the way that they at the end was Nani was like like I feel like they kind of like undervalued her character a little bit, where she's like, well, I gotta go, Lilo, bye, and everything. Where I was like, really, like I understand she cares for her sister, but and would she want, yeah, and she wants what's best for her, but like I feel like her leaving, she would not leave her 1 second. And I think honestly, and I really do like though, like, and also the fact that the neighbor takes her to get a dog, that was much better. I feel like that worked better than in the cartoon. And there are things the movie does better than the cartoon. But I feel like there are some things like it feels like they cut some stuff out. And I'm like, okay, what about the scene, like, Nani cares for her, but like she is more lovable towards her in the cartoon than she is in the movie, where she's more like, it's like the older, it really is sister relationship, where it feels like a mother-daughter relationship in the cartoon, where it feels like this is just a sister relationship, there's nothing else to it. And that's the only thing I hated about that. And but I do appreciate, there's a scene where Stitch goes into water and they rescue Lilo, and Stitch is just sitting there. I thought that worked well. I thought that whole sequence was like, oh, I was wanting to get Stitch. And I will rewatch this movie. This movie's not a terrible movie. I think this is actually a better Disney remake. I would say it's like Aladdin. I would rewatch this movie, although I think Aladdin's a much better movie. I will definitely check this out. I may even buy it on Blu-ray. If I had to give this movie a grade, I'm going to give it an A-. Thank you so much.
Sharpton for president, y'all. I'm outie.
Jesse Jackson for VP.